Well, it was a newsworthy day. A lot happened. For starters, the judge did grant a bond in the case. He set it at $150,000 for Mr. Zimmerman, so he will presumably go free soon. What he asked is that Zimmerman wear a GPS monitor so that they can keep track of his movements. Obviously, there are security concerns over his safety given the high-profile nature of the case, and so his attorney, Mark O'Mara, asked if he could reside outside the state, which the judge seemed to be open to as long as they could work out the monitoring details with the sheriff's office.
All right, and this monitor being on George Zimmerman. He is 28 years old. He is the shooter. What has the special prosecutor said? Have they agreed to all of this?
Well, they were arguing against it. They did not want the bond to be granted, and if it were to be granted, they wanted it set at $1 million. Clearly, what they were seeking to do in this bond hearing today was to depict Mr. Zimmerman as the aggressor. They cited a few past episodes of violence, alleged violence on Mr. Zimmerman's part, in an effort to paint him as perhaps a danger to others. But it didn't go over with the judge. He didn't seem to think those past episodes were of primary concern, and so he essentially went largely with what Mark O'Mara, with what Mr. Zimmerman's attorney wanted.
Right, and I should be clear, of course, that George Zimmerman is the alleged shooter at this point. Arian, when he took the stand, what did George Zimmerman say this morning? Did he speak out to the parents of Trayvon Martin?
Yes, he did. It was quite a remarkable moment. He said he directly addressed himself to the parents who were in attendance and said that he was very sorry for the loss of their son. He said he did not realize Mr. Martin's age. He didn't realize he was so much younger than him, and so yes, he appealed for their forgiveness.
In terms of the flight risk that he poses, how serious does this appear to be? What does the prosecution feel in terms of how serious that could be?
Well, they were raising that issue, saying that he was potentially flight risk because they said even though he cooperated with law enforcement previously, that given the fact that he now faces second-degree murder charges, that would be an incentive for him to disappear. But the attorney for Mr. Zimmerman apparently quite persuasively made the argument that Mr. Zimmerman has been cooperating the whole way. He presented himself when the charges were made for arrest. He was apparently in contact with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, keeping them privy to his whereabouts. And so he made clear that this is an individual who has respect for authority, and that he would abide by whatever dictates the judge imposed, and apparently the judge agreed.
And obviously the lack of arrest for something around 44 days sparked huge outcry both in Florida and nationwide. Has that died down at all in Florida, or is it still as heightened as it was?
I think it has died down somewhat. I think there was a lot of concern about what would happen if there were no charges filed. Police, in fact, in Sanford, Florida, were preparing for the potential for unrest there. But given the charges, which were, quite strong charges that the prosecutor sought, I think that's tamped some of that down. That doesn't mean that there are not still almost daily, demonstrations, gatherings addressing this case. So it is still at a simmer, but not quite at the boil that it was before.